So Steve's first question is about the potential risks entailed with moving ahead with reopening in rural counties. And Steve, I can only speak, of course, on the public health side of things. Commissioner Johnson has talked about the economic side of things, of course. But on the public health side, it's not so much the cases, but their distribution, partly on a geographic basis. Where are we seeing new cases on a county by county level? But also, what type of facilities are we seeing cases in? And if we go back to this balloon analogy, if many of the cases that we see happen to be, for example, in long-term care facilities, if we can cordon those cases off and prevent them from generating community transmission on a more widespread basis, that gives us a bit more security. But I think the bottom line here, though, Steve, is that the question, I think, is any type of movement here toward any kind of reopening may involve some degree of risk. We can't quantify what that risk is. It's very difficult to know whether by opening up this particular store in one particular county, there's an appreciable increase in risk. The coronavirus, again, is only 5 months old. And so the data that we might need in order to make that assessment are challenging. But what we can say is that in certain parts of the state where there has been a very low background rate of disease, and coupled with the possibility that providers in those areas who may have been self-restraining themselves against testing out of fear for resources would not need to do that anymore because of the expanded testing increases that will be online later this week. I feel like, the way that I've thought about it is that we've got an appropriate degree of safety that's built into the system based on the fact that individuals may already be interacting. They would hopefully be wearing face coverings, which we continue to recommend. And then if there were to be some type of outbreak, we now have the testing infrastructure in place such that providers don't need to worry about tiers and prioritization schemes. So, that's kind of how I've been thinking about it. It's important, I think, to recognize that the complexion of the outbreak across the state of Maine has been different in rural areas versus more densely populated areas.